So it is wonderful to be here. It's not the first time we have come to Jamia, but it is reintroduction every time you come back. So before we start this, it's a long session, it's 3 hours, and I'll sort of lay it out what we are going to do and how we will do this. But I would like to know who you are and what brings you to this workshop. So let's just go around the room very, very quickly. You'll give me your name, the affiliation of your institution, or and the discipline that you are engaged in, what level of work you are doing, and particularly if you're a research scholar, what is the topic of research you're working on. But very quickly, okay, so don't go into a long narrative about yourself, name, affiliation, discipline, research. Okay, let's start.
I'm Deep Father. I did my master's in public policy through UCL. I became working with Professor Nas.
Jamia.
I'm from Humanistic, and my topic is impact of social media on mainstream media in India.
My name is Prof.Yasmin Prof. I'm from Jamia. I'm working on literature communication. I'm a doctor here.
Yeah, my name is Chatrapati. I'm Usmania University I'm a research scholar working on development in displacement and media. My name is Srikanth. I'm research in public and feminist studies from the Humanistic.
Myself, Jamia. I'm from Jammu. I'm a faculty member, Government Degree College.
I'm sorry? You say you're from Jammu and you're what?
Faculty member, Government Degree College. Faculty.
Family member.
Myself is Humanistic. I'm a research scholar from Center for Mass Communication, Rajasthan University. And my topic is reach and impact of electronic media in border area of Rajasthan.
Hello, this is Arjun Singh Gloria from Jamia University only. I'm from psychological background and right now I'm teaching two undergraduate classes in government degree college.
I'm doing my PhD from CCMG Jamia. My area of interest is media and movements in Assam.
Hello, my name is Divya and I'm a research scholar from Jamia University. And my area of research was instrumental audio. And where is that? No. And my area of research is digital entertainment.
Myself Somesh, I'm from Allahabad University of Allahabad as a college department, and my topic is social construction of childhood. I'm Robert, I'm from University of Sydney, I'm a PhD scholar there, and I'm working on media censorship in.
Well, my name is Mulabushu Delhi, which means I'm from Delhi. The broader topic I'm working on is religion in media, a study of televangelism over here at CCMG.
I'm working as a faculty in Delhi Metropolitan Education. It is affiliated to Guru saying at the university. My area of psychology, English education and business studies. I'm Parna. I'm from GMU and I work in gender relations and business textual relations.
And my name is Nara, I'm from Social University, and my topic is impact and effects of social media on digital.
Hello, my name is Karma Pandit. I'm from the University of Kashmir and I'm a doctoral scholar and I'm working on portrayal of gender in Bollywood.
Myself, Miracle from Manipur. I'm a PhD scholar from Delhi University, Department of Psychology. I'm working on biosocial process among Delhi population.
Among what population?
Of Delhi population.
I'm Ashik Hussain from Kashmir University. I'm a scholar of media education department here. I'm here to teach in the stage like this.
I am Tamanpreet Kaur from Punjabi University, Patiala, Education Department. I am working on student learning in distance education.
Myself, Mamta Singh from Agra University. I'm working in education department.
My name is Roman Biswas. I am not part of this methodology part, but I came from Ambedkar University, Delhi, and I just came for this program.
So you teach or you are a student?
No, I am a student. Yeah.
Hello ma'am, this is Jamia from University of Hyderabad and a PhD student in Media Communication, Community Media and Culture.
Good afternoon, madam, sir. Myself is University of Hyderabad and my research topic is 21वीं सदी में हिंदी में परिवर्तन का अध्ययन.
You should say that we speak in Hindi.
जी, बताइए 21वीं सदी में हिंदी सिने परिवर्तन का अध्ययन. Myself, Kritika Agarwal. I am from Central University, Lucknow, and I am a media research scholar. My topic is social media and behavioral changes among youngsters.
Good afternoon, I am Sonali. I am with the AJK Mass Communication Research Center, Jamia, India. Yes. And my area is documentary studies. I am looking at independent documentary filmmaking and circulation in media.
I am Sana, I am a professor in the Center of Culture Media.
I am from Maharashtra, Nagpur University. My area of interest is online advertising.
I am teaching English at the CCMG.
Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. So we have some things, I will not get everything, but I think in 3 hours we get to know one another quite well. What we are going to do is, it's going to be rather interactive and open for you guys to stop and ask us questions whenever you want. And we will try to answer them. First, let me tell you, just review the format of this next 3 hours. It's a long 3 hours. We'll take a few breaks. We are not going to go on and on. It's not a class. It's not an exam. We're just going to have a conversation with you about research. So we will start by, I'm just going to lay out a little what we are going to do now. And then my partner here, Chad Haynes, will start off and do a longer session for around 30 to 40 minutes. We'll take a quick break then. I will return and I will continue. We will take another break after I finish. Then we'll come back again and we'll have a longer session together. Get a very short break and then we'll be completely open to you guys to discuss about your research and where you want to go with it. Now, even when we are presenting, you're welcome to stop us to ask any questions. We would recommend that when we stop us, ask about more information-based questions, not research-based questions at that moment. We will come back to research questions towards the end, which will be long enough. We'll have 45 minutes or 50 minutes to discuss that. So just remember that we are following the system so that you don't fall asleep and that you're not looking forward to listen to one person over and over again. The way we are thinking of doing this workshop is, I know that we have come from different parts of India and we haven't spent an enormous amount of time discussing or meeting students from different parts of India. So we did not know who our audience would be in order to prepare this workshop. So what we are going to do at the moment is we are opening up the way of thinking is we want you to have few messages from this workshop. And one of the important messages from this title that we have seen is a question of what does research actually do, right? It is not simply finishing up a topic. It is opening a range of questions for others to continue to ask new questions, right? So we conceive it, I sort of have this idea of always creating pictures in my head, right? Visuals, because the brain has a lot of visual memory. So it is, to think of it as gateway, right? So each question actually opens up another level of question and then another, so it becomes one gateway to another gateway to another gateway. If you are from Delhi, and some of you are, you know the story of arches, right? So it's like a continuous arch, and each arch is kind of composed in a way that it creates a larger image of something that invites you inside to find something newer beyond it. So you have to think of it as an arch, gateways, arch, India Gate, multiple levels, that opens itself to a vista, to a horizon, right? And that horizon is you, the researcher now, right? The researcher, mostly we think research is a very solitary work. Each one of you said, I do this research and I do this research. None of you said, I actually do a research with a team of people. Right? If you think of research as a very solitary business, it looks like you and you alone matter. It's a very egotistical process. Right? Whereas we are encouraging to think of research as a social process. You are part, you, me, all of this is part of a community. We are creating societies through our knowledge, right? And that knowledge is to be shared. The process may be you or me doing the labor of collecting material for research is a process. The process may be an individual process, but the idea is to be shared and to create community. So it's a very social activity. And the final message that we want to take, we want you to think about when you're doing this workshop and beyond, is why bother for the rest of your life to do this kind of work? Yes, it may be a job, it's a career, but why choose to be a research professor or a research student or a teacher, whatever, an academic? Why? It's because you think, if you think that it's a social process, you start thinking of it as a responsibility. And a responsibility must be for one another. It is not for some abstract corporation or some institution. You are part of this community of human beings, so we have responsibilities to one another. Research should give us the power to work with others in order to create a better world, in a way. So the humanism part of our work, that we are working with humans in order to find our own humanity, in order to create a humanistic world, is one of the messages that we would want you to take from this. So there are three things that we are trying to get to you, is to think of research as gateways, openings, continuous openings, in order to create society, and in order to keep society going, is to think of things humanistically. Okay? So this is the layout of this basic workshop. And we will now take it step by step in order to explain to you what we mean by each of these steps in the message. So I'll give it to Chen to start. And we'll be mindful of time.
We'll try. Again, it's a real honor to be here and have this opportunity to share with you all my ideas and insights into conducting research. I also know sometimes I tend to talk very fast, so, and perhaps with my accent, American accent, you might not be used to. So if you're not following what I'm saying or it's not clear, please raise your hand. I will try to explain or go back or slow down as I'm speaking. So don't be shy if you're not fully understanding what I'm saying. Okay? As Professor Saikia spelled out, there are really sort of three themes in process, sociality, and responsibility. And there are different ways in which we can map these out. And what we want to do, and what I want to do first, is a really broad conceptualization of research projects and how we start to develop research, but always in relationship to see the entire process as a field of relationships. I call this sort of a dialogical model. Of course, I had to put my name, so it's the Amesian model of dialogical research. So I sort of just created this presentation. And partly I did Prezi. I'm not very comfortable with Prezi myself. I don't know if any of you have used it or seen it before, but it's a very different compared to PowerPoint, so it allows us to sort of slide through. All of these steps that we often think about research are actually intricately and intimately interconnected. And that's what I want us to start to think about. And so I want to not there. Okay. Is our home institution, the places from which we're actually working from. And just a little context, this image happens to be the Center for the Study of Religion and Conflict at Arizona State University, where Professor Saikia and I are both affiliated with. And so it is our home institution out of which we work. The idea of the home institution is I mean, we are dissertators, we're working on our PhDs, we are professors working on a book or a research project to get tenure. Some of us might actually be or working with journalists whose home institution is actually that newspaper or that TV station. Some of us might be doing contract work for an NGO, so that NGO then is our home institution. Those institutions define a lot of what we need to do and how we can do it. And so we have to critically sort of respect those expectations and those needs. And so that home institution is our community. Okay? It is the smaller community that we actually operate in, our colleagues and others, where we get our ideas from, the classrooms, our advisors, the people that we're working with. And so that becomes important. None of us, as Professor Saiki was pointing out, are in this alone. We're in this together. No idea is original. I can put my name on this model, but I mean, some of this is common sense, but none of this is original, unique to me. Okay? Obviously, the demands and expectations of completing our PhDs and what a dissertation is versus a book, tenure process and promotion, even the topics that we choose to work on. I'm a cultural anthropologist. My first work in northern Pakistan was very sort of deeply embedded in anthropology. Now at Arizona State University, my primary home is actually in the Department of Religious Studies. And so I've actually had to shift my work and make it more sort of religious oriented compared to sort of political or economic oriented as my original work was. That's part of the community I operate in that we have to respect and draw upon. And in fact, it's been an extremely rewarding sort of engagement for me. Obviously, funding is a major part of this as well. The communities and how we shape the topics that we're interested in, the types of funding that are even available out there. I mean, I have colleagues from my days in graduate school, fascinating topics for research, but nobody would fund them. Okay? And sometimes we also have to think practically and what's available and how we can go about doing this research. Okay? I'm not sure. When we start, again, nothing original here, common sense. But when we start our research, we are in dialogue with what's already out there. First thing we do is the literature review. What's already been said? How is my imagining of my project going to be in dialogue with what's already out there? But there are various ways to also think through that existing scholarship. One is we need information and data, right? And so how much of what we do is primary research, but we also usually start with secondary research. We have some background information, historical context, other things. A lot of the data that we actually get has already been collected by somebody. And so we use that and incorporate that. So we also, that's part of the dialogue that we're in. Comparative studies. You might be focused on a particular region in India. You're looking, perhaps there are other similar type studies in other regions of India, perhaps in other countries of South Asia, perhaps in Latin America. There's something similar that helps us understand the idea of the process. What you are going to end up researching may be quite different. But we need that, again, there's a dialogue there. And I will get to, later on, the significance of how we get to the writing process to also recognize that ultimately somebody's going to be reading our work. How does it speak to them as well? So you're not just taking, in a sense, knowledge, but you're also contributing to that pool. Right? Obviously, the conceptual and theoretical ideas are also extremely significant. And so here you're reading a variety of different works that may have nothing to do with actually your field of study, but provide you ideas on which you can actually then frame your own work. So all of these then, in a sense, are the dialogues that we're participating in. with previous research on our topics, with the larger sort of conceptual issue, with theoretical works in our disciplines and sort of social theory. Once we do that, we obviously move out to the field, to the research site. For an anthropologist like myself, the field is a physical place that I go to, right? Some of us can sit at home and look at our computers, do social media, other things that we might be researching. That itself is our field site, right? So it might be our own study, it might be halfway around the world, right? But recognizing, in a sense, our responsibility in that site. That site is populated by people, and our sense of respect and responsibility to them as our subjects of research is the most significant here. And it's really, in a sense, our ethical responsibility as scholars of how we represent and talk about. When I'm in my home institution, I might have an idea for a research project. When I go out to the field, it might be problematic because the people there don't like that idea, or I might even find it's actually not as significant as I thought it was, right? And so, again, there are a series of dialogues that take place that we cannot just go out and impose our ideas that we got from our home institution, from our literature reviews, but we also have to listen to the people or the field in which we're actually doing our research. Right? Finally, we have our own writing process. It might be a dissertation, it might be an article, it might be a book, whatever it is. It's recognizing then that that piece of material serves multiple purposes. One, it goes back to our home institution. It's part of what it requires to get my PhD, what I'm required to do to get my tenure. So it's part of that community. It becomes the collective scholarship of the world that anybody has access to. All dissertations in the world are now online. You can read any dissertation from any university around the world. Most of them are digitized. And so that becomes part of the secondary material. So even now, as a professor, I'm going out to the field to do research. Some people have already done top dissertations or other books on this. So you're contributing now to further scholarship. So it's a continuous sort of process that we're contributing in. And so that's what, one of the things we want to emphasize is the multiple ways in which all of these things become interconnected. And it's that process that we move through, that there are multiple dialogues that we enter into, and multiple responsibilities that we have in this process.